With it being the new month, we close out the game of the month for our Gamer Club last month, which is Yakuza 0. Now, before we close it out, we do want a bit of farewell by just getting everyone's final thoughts and impressions of Yakuza 0. Let's start with Jord the Man, then we'll flip it over to McSpicy, and then we have a community poll that went up. If you've not yet voted on the community poll and you're in chat right now, all you got to do is go to youtube.com/XoneBros and hit that community tab up at the top, and you can vote and leave comments on what you thought of the game so we can get some input from the community. Jord the Man, go ahead.
So
thoughts, Yakuza 0, give it to me.
So my thoughts are good. I did not get to play this game as much as I wanted to.
I mean, it was
because
June.
It was a busy month.
It was June.
Work, other games, stuff like that. But from what I played, and given I'm not super far in, so I can't give any in-depth stuff. I have never played a Yakuza game. From this point forward, I will play every Yakuza game.
That's good. Yeah,
because I'm excited for the new one coming out. Was it Yakuza Into the Dragon or something like that? The new modern one. Anyway, it was really fun. I think the main character was awesome. Karaoke is probably the funnest karaoke I've ever done in a video game.
Dude, it was hard. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then
it was so because it's like that weird echo button. It totally throws off your timing.
Well, what was awesome is they're singing, and the better you do, if you're doing perfect, all of a sudden they rip off their clothes and they go into this rock, you're on a whole different plane. Did you do
a plane of existence? I did really well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then they start and they're on a concert, and then afterwards they're just like, "Oh, that was fun." Anyway, the characters are fun. If you're watching live, this old guy, that guy's hilarious.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, what I actually like about this...
Well, you can say that guy's hilarious for a lot of characters in this game.
Yeah. What I like about this game, and I think this is actually a turnoff to some people, is I actually like that it's in Japanese and you have to read the subtitles, right? Okay. I feel like it kind of makes you
some authenticity.
Well, it makes you pay attention to the story a little bit more, right? I like how they do their cutscenes. It's definitely a slower... would you say a slower paced game?
At points, for sure. Whenever you do a story mission, prepare to sit back and watch a movie.
Yeah, because it's very
every single
story driven.
Every single cutscene I had, the screen went gray on my screen because the controller would turn off.
Yeah, thinking it's dying.
So that's how long the cutscenes are. So that may be a turnoff for some, but the story is really, really good. And I really thought that I was always excited to do story missions in this game because there's so much that happens in the story. I mean, it's mafia triads, it's families versus families in Japan and
in the 80s.
And so it's very serious when it comes to that. There's politics involved, there's murders, there's all this stuff, and it's this person's backstabbing this person's trying to climb up the chain on this person. It's a very complicated but very fun story to have told.
Well, what I like that they did, and I think they did this on purpose, is the main story is a much more serious tone, right? Although there are kind of funny parts in it, it's more serious tone. The side quests, on the other hand,
are hilarious.
They're like, let's do whatever we want. That I like. Anyway, it's funny. So it's a cool game. The combat is really fun. It's beat 'em up. Would you call it, right? Beat 'em up combo style,
It reminds me of you remember those Dynasty Warrior games?
Yeah.
If Dynasty Warriors was a GTA, that's what this game would be. Because it's open world. It's not as flushed out as GTA for sure. You see the same people around all the time, but it's you can do what you want when you're not tied into a story, walking around and doing stuff, and you'll always find random quests and stuff that are just. They're hilarious. They're very, very funny.
The RPG element is really cool. Upgrading your character. Basically, you get money, yen, right? And you spend it on yourself. And there's actually a moment where the guy says, where a drunk guy comes up to you and says, you need to spend money on yourself.
Yeah, that's
how you upgrade, right? But
the drunk guy, he introduces you to all your different trainers, and it's it's kind of like, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a Vegas wheel. where you can upgrade through spending money, like gambling, kind of in a way. It's I don't know. It's very Japanese.
Yeah,
how you upgrade.
It's the equivalent of upgrading, your strength, your this, and all that stuff, right? So
if your upgrading will was a Japanese gamble house, that's how you upgrade your person.
So any Jordan, give me any criticisms you have about this game. How about one of the criticisms I know is some people didn't like the save system.
Oh yeah, because
I don't know, because the thing is like take a game like Dark Souls, right? I enjoy that you have to. It's difficult, right?
You
can't just
explain the save system for those who haven't.
So the save system is basically
you have to save it.
You have to save it. Yeah,
that's the save system.
There's no auto save. You have to get to phone booths, which is kind of funny. You get to phone booths, and those are your save systems. When you get to a phone booth, you can then choose to save it and stuff like that. Those phone booths at times can be spread apart pretty far, right? Especially like Mark said, when you go into a story cutscene, prepare to sit back and relax. Because if you quit during the middle of that story,
you're starting over.
You got to do it again, right? So. A lot of people don't like that. The thing is, the game's not necessarily trying to be difficult, so I wouldn't mind if there was just like an autosave feature, and maybe in the new one there will be. But, I mean, if you take another game like Dark Souls, where their save system is somewhat similar, you have to get to certain points before the game saves, right? I mean, I don't necessarily dislike the save system, but the difference is Dark Souls is trying to be a difficult game, right? Whereas this is... It's just trying to be a fun game, right? So I would agree. I mean, you can. I mean, if there was an autosave, I wouldn't be against it.
Sure. It's only an issue until you realize that it's an issue.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you don't know that you have to go to the phone booths to save, and it never really tells you. I don't remember it.
No, it doesn't. The first time you get to a phone booth, you're just kind of like, why don't you make a call to the guy? Okay. And then you make a call, and then you actually have to go back to the phone booth to save it.
So it sucks one time, and that one time really sucks if you played hours in, right? Yeah. But as long as you know when you're done playing, go to a phone booth and just save the game, then you're fine. And maybe that's lore. Maybe, like games from the 80s and 90s, you had to actually save the game. Mm-hmm. It's not auto-save, so maybe because this game takes place in the 80s, maybe that's what they're trying to do.
But I don't know if this is necessarily a criticism, but what I'd like to see in the new one coming out, what's it called, Into the Dragon, I'd like to see a more flushed out open world. Now, that being said, I'm not super incredibly way far into the game, so maybe it does eventually, but like Mark said, it's open world, but you're kind of walking down the same streets all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it seemed, you know what I mean? Like if it had a Grand Theft Auto or a Witcher open world, you know what I mean? I think that would really benefit a game like this, right? It'd be really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. My criticisms, I don't mind it, but others might. There's a lot of reading.
That's what I like. It really makes you know what's going on in the story. Yeah, the slow, fast, slow.
The slow, fast, slow, loud, quiet, loud. But I actually thought it was fine, and I'm a person that has really bad eyesight that's getting worse and worse every day. And I didn't mind it because it almost added immersion, like I was watching a Japanese translation, anime. And there's a lot of anime aspects to this game, like the different abilities you have as you fight, and it's very Dynasty Warriors-y. As you fight, you're charging up your abilities. You can fight faster and faster, and you start glowing. It's definitely a Japanese game, and that, to me, that speaks to its strengths. However, if you don't like reading, maybe this is a little too much reading, because it's reading all the time. There is no English in this game.
It's all
spoken
subtitles.
English.
Yeah.
It's all subtitles. Even throughout the 20-minute cutscenes, it's all subtitles. So if you don't like that, maybe it's not for you. But I didn't mind it. I thought it helped immerse myself into a Japanese world. Mm-hmm. Of mafia and backbiting and
prostitution
and all this other. There's some really funny stuff you encounter.
Didn't you do something with cats? Was that you that was telling me?
Cats? Like, what do you mean?
Didn't you do like a cat mission?
Probably. I've done a lot of missions. I can't remember. The big mission that I mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago. It's so funny. It was the masochist, where it was like you had to. I don't think I can even explain what I did in this podcast because it's a family-friendly podcast.
I remember you talking about this. A little kid comes up and you have to explain how to properly be a master. of sexual orientation.
or not orientation, just like endeavors. I would say endeavors.
There you go.
And
with a whip,
and you have to train someone to do that, and it's just funny. Like they did it in a very comical way. The whole thing about that whole side quest is really, really good. The side quests in this are hilarious. The main story is serious. I think it's a great balance. It's a very zany kind of game, but at the same time serious kind of game. It's anime-ish. It's very Japanese. All in all, I think it reminds me not of the same style of game as Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but the fact that the developers just wanted to make a fun game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They went away a little bit from what Assassin's Creed was before, and they just made a fun game. I think this is the same way. It's serious, it's fun, it's a good blend, there's good storytelling, and it's just a fun game. That's what it is. It's just a fun game. So anyways.
The community has voted. 69% of people that played it loved it. 25% were meh about it, and 6% hated it. Fitzy said he tried to get into it, but just the super slow start made me not want to play. Other than beating drunk guys sober, nothing really grabbed my attention. Then the karaoke...
That was funny.
Yeah. He said, then the karaoke part just made me turn it off. LOL.
Oh, you have to get past that part. I get it, though. The karaoke part is right at the beginning of the game. Well, beginning-ish of the beginning of the game. They make it so when you press the button, there's like a half-a-second delay where you hear the button pressed. So it totally throws off your syncopation, but... It's really get past that part. The game gets really funny and very good.
So there we go. That was our game of the month last month. That is Yakuza 0 Spicy. Finish this sentence for me. You will like Yakuza 0 if
you like anime, you like great storytelling, and you just like to have fun.
There you go. There you go. Go check it out. It is still on Game Pass. You can check that out.